Hi friends, hey, welcome back to the Expeditionary Johnny channel. Hey, if you're new to my channel, you'll see right here that the theme to my channel is to try to remove obstacles to getting outdoors. That could be things like time, ideas, or maybe equipment. And today we're talking about equipment, specifically the Reactive Outdoor 2-step cabin tent. To be clear, that is the poleless cabin tent. Alright, so let's start talking about that. So last month, Reactive Outdoor sent me their 2-man tent that's supposed to set up in about 3 seconds. I think that's from the time you put the tent on the ground, then you pull it up, and it worked pretty well. And so right now, it's still down the hill being tested out against the environment. It's been out against tornado warnings and some pretty heavy rains, and I'm going to be doing part 2 of that review here shortly. But today I'm going to be taking a look at this very large cabin style tent. The big thing about that one is it doesn't have any poles in it. So let's go ahead and get this out of the box and let's start taking a look at it, shall we? Alright, looks like we got a nice container to hold everything together. Let's get that out. Alright, this is what it looks like in the tote. Here's the big thing. Let's take it out and see what she looks like on the inside. Got a couple clips here. Tent stakes. Alright, got some instructions here. What do we got here? Repair patches. I think this is far enough here that at the table. Let's move it over to the grass now. Alright, so quick update. First is this little tube here. I said it has patches here to repair our tent. Well, if we turn it around here, we can also see it has a battery to power our air pump, which is going to inflate the tubes inside the tent, which is going to help us set it up. So I have to do that. And then also I've got a ground cover there for the tent to try to get the tent off the ground, which is going to prevent causing any holes and also try to keep us dry on the inside. So let's do that real fast. All right, step 1, laid the tent out, did that. Step 2, got to peg the 4 corners. Let's do that. Next step, we have to close off the valves for the support beam here. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, Reactive Outdoors, try to make it as easy as possible for us. They label the corner telling us this is where the power goes and our valve. So if we open this up here, we can see this is where our battery installs. Right up here is our white valve. And so we're going to go ahead and just screw that on in there. Now I'm on the opposite end of the tent now, diagonally speaking here. So I want to show you where the red valve is. That's where I just came from. Right down here is the other valve. They've tucked it in real nice like here. So we just go ahead and grab this and close that up. All right, let's install the battery. We have to have this arrow pointing up towards the valve. So let's head on in. Seems pretty straightforward here. Up toward the valve. All right, that went pretty well. Okay, moment of truth. Now all I got to do is hit this here power button. So why don't I go ahead and put my phone here on the tripod and let's see what happens. Well, that was interesting. I hadn't watched any videos on this product, so I didn't know what to expect on there, so that's pretty cool. Turns out right here on the corners they've got some guy lines, so I'm going to go ahead and set those in place so that way it'll keep our tent upright here. So let's set those. Well, that was easy enough. So let's start taking a look at this here tent. First thing is, I noticed we have a double door. So let's go ahead and unzip this. So you can see we have entrance, two entrances and exits. So that's nice. Now, one of the things I've noticed right off the bat that I like that Reactive Outdoors is paying attention to is trying to keep the rain out here. I noticed this on the 2-man 3-second tent. They have this flap that comes over the zippers, and also it carries through down here at the bottom. I'll show you that here in a minute. So that's very good. Now let's talk about ventilation. So let's go on the inside of the door here. Let's find our zipper. Here it is. So we have a fair amount of screening here to keep out the bugs and also to help ventilate the tent. That's a very good thing. All right, let's go ahead and open up this door. I'll go ahead and secure it on the other side. Let's come on inside here and I'll show you around. All right, first thing I notice, bathroom floor. This is good. If you're not used to buying tents here, you do want something that where the sides, the flooring goes up to the sides for a little bit. That's going to help keep you dry at night. So that's a very good plus. All right, one of the things I really like here is there's plenty of ventilation. We've got some netting on the side here, a big window. And of course we have at the door, which we have also some good ventilation there because of the netting. We have another big window on the opposite side than at the main door. And if that's not enough, if we turn our attention up to the top, oh, there's some netting here. Oh, let's go to the outside of the tent and take a look at that. All right, now that we're on the outside of the tent, let's take a look up here. Looks like we can actually take off our rain cover there if we want to get some extra ventilation. All right, so when it comes to ventilation, it looks like Reactive Outdoor is trying to do everything they can to try to make your camping experience as comfortable as possible. If you look down here at the very bottom, they've even got some ventilation down here at the bottom. Let me go ahead and show you what it looks like on the inside. There we have it from the inside view. All right, a little bit ago I mentioned that I really like how Reactive Outdoors protects the zippers on here. I actually was communicating with Reactive Outdoors about that one, and they told me that's actually based on your feedback. There is another YouTuber out there that gave some negative comments about leakage, and so what they did is they set it up to make sure that they protect the zippers all the way around. So let me go ahead and show you that real quick. All right, so you notice on here that the zipper is actually underneath this flap. So we go ahead and pull that around, and then we go ahead and take it down the bottom. I'm going to flip this around here so you can see this. See how your hands is always behind a flap here, and same thing on the bottom. I can tell you, if this cabin style tent is nearly as dry as that 2-man 3-second pop-up tent, yeah, this is going to be a nice comfy tent for you. There was one other thing I want to show you about this tent. And what's that other thing? Well, heck, it's the one thing you can't live without in a tent. You gotta have a hook to hang your lantern. Alright, so the only other thing I need to mention about this tent is it does come with this USB and USB-C wires to go ahead and charge up your battery. That works great because the C is pretty universal nowadays. I think when I do my long review on this one, where after we've tested against the rains, I'll go ahead and bring out my little battery pack and show up what I think a good typical setup would be. So what are my first impressions? So far, very happy. The setup is as advertised. I was told that they were looking for some campers like my age that don't want to be messing around with poles. Well, mission accomplished. I didn't have to mess around with poles. The instructions said all you have to do is push one button and let the tent do the job. I did that. All I had to do is pull things up and then tie things down. Not a big deal. Very easy peasy. Alright, now what next? Ventilation. As you can tell, I'm a little bit on the sweaty side. It is hot right now, so even though I didn't really have to do much to set this thing up, I am drenched. So as I'm sitting inside the tent in the shade, I feel pretty good. I'm cooling off now, so I'm happy with that. Lots of room, lots and lots of room, so you can bring in a cot here and do a bit of glamping here. So yeah, right off the bat, I like it. Alright, well I guess this brings us to the end of another video, so I want to start by saying thank you. Thank you to Reactive Outdoor for a chance to go ahead and review your tent. So far, I really like it. Go ahead and stay tuned for part 2, and I'll tell you how she does against the weather here. For all of you guys that have tuned in, thank you. Very much appreciate that. If you haven't done so, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and if you'd like to see different things, just let me know. Alright, with that, y'all take care and have a good week.